Hi everybody, here's Christian.
And I'm Gavin.
And this is Trace 5 and bam! This is another deck review. So as we said before, on our preview event, we received 2 decks from Asmodee. Thank you so much, Asmodee.
Thank you, Michelle.
And this is your deck, Girion.
This is the deck that I got. And I have to say, I immediately fell in love with it.
I think there is nothing that we can do to remove this deck from you ever again. This is going to be forever your deck.
As a Netrunner player, it is the best deck name. I think it is impossible to beat this.
So how would you pronounce it?
Z.
Mm-hmm.
The that loves cyborgs. Mm-hmm. And I do love me some cyborgs. Yes.
All right. So let's go through the cards. We see beautiful green Martians. Mm-hmm. We have How's This, which again we are very, very fond of, and logos, which can be very powerful. It's a little weird combination, I think, because Dis and Mars are both pretty chaotic, I would say, whereas Logos and Sanctum are the ones that are for order and usually the more controlling stuff, support kind of action.
And I'm really curious to see how well this works together.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super hyped to see Mars on here because I'm a big fan of Mars, and we had one Mars deck, but it wasn't that hot. So maybe we're gonna see some Mars hotness here. All right, but we're gonna begin with this, of course.
Okay, Life Wards. Omni ability. This is always great. On artifacts, sacrifice Life Ward. Your opponent cannot play creatures on your next turn, which is basically a protection when you have a board state and you know that your opponent will launch an assault on the next turn. You can play this and prevent this for at least one turn.
I'm a big fan of artifacts that have Omni, because it's like you don't have to, they kind of like outside your strategic planning. You always have them, right?
Yes, I think Omni abilities are always pretty good.
All right. So this is Library
of the Damned. Archive a card. That's also not...
You have to also, because it's so easy to miss this, it's an artifact that you play.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it has an action, archive a card.
Yeah, that is something that you really have to be careful about, because action cards also say action on the card, and it's probably a very easy beginner mistake to make.
Yeah, so this is something that you can do every turn when you play the Damned.
When you play
this.
Yeah. And archiving is definitely something that you have to think carefully about, because pulling up your archives and then having a monster turn where you can buff out 6 or 7 cards or even more can be really, really powerful.
Do you have already some ideas on what you can archive with this guy?
Not really, I have to say, because there's not too many archive effects in this deck.
So if you guys out there, if you have suggestions on what to archive with this deck, let us know. All right, so this is going to be Poltergeist.
We had this in the previous deck already. Use an artifact control by a player as if it were yours. Destroy that artifact. It is really good. If you have an artifact on your opponent's side that you can use and that you want to get rid of, that is a really, really nice effect.
Yeah,
plus you gain an Ember.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this guy. Especially it's really nice again for those Omni artifacts that get destroyed anyway, so they're often very strong. Yeah. And you can just blow them up.
Yeah. Might Barb, that's a card that I also really like, gains an Ember. Your opponent discards a random card from your hand. I mean, it's a nice little effect. Gaining an Ember, maybe messing around with the opponent's plans for his next turn.
There's never a situation where you're not playing a Mind Barb when you have it on hand.
When you have this on hand and you want to play this anyway, this always fits into your game plan.
I also like there's like 2 discards that have Martians on them and get owned. and both of them are incredibly funny. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a bit of a sadistic person.
Okay, the hand of this. When you play this, destroy a creature that is not on a flank. So you can remove those pesky, Shadow Selves or stuff that sits in the middle. Shadow Self is usually played so that it is protecting 2 people, so that is a nice effect that you can just remove something from the board that you don't like to see.
I love this. This is so good. This is you have to also you can't play it until there's at least 3 creatures, right?
Yeah. So with 2 or 1 creatures today are all considered on flanks.
This is so good. I love it. This is a very strong removal, I would say. Because just remove it. Like, not do damage, but just off with it.
I think this is really either the most powered up
Ancient Bear with Way of the Bear and whatever upgrades have you, or the Shadow Selves will be the primary targets for this, I think.
Definitely. Or sometimes there's like some little nasty creature and you just want to get rid of it.
Dance of Doom, play, choose a number, destroy each creature with power equal to that number. This is also, I think, really nice because it's again destroy, no fighting necessary, just remove all of those pesky Umbras, Dexters, or whatever else have you in one go.
I mean, even if you choose a really high number, you can destroy all of the Shadow Selves as well. Like
also true. Yes,
it can be very flexible depending on what the board state is, right?
Yeah, choose a number is, I think, a really powerful ability because you can pick and choose whatever you pesters you the most on the board.
Yeah, I like it. It's the rare in this deck, and I can tell. Yeah, this seems like a very powerful card.
Yes, that is a rare. Okay, Arise. That is the the Dis recursion card that we've seen quite a lot
this before,
so far, which is really, really good. Choose a house, return each creature from that house from your discard pile to your hand, gain 1 chain. The 1 chain is
nothing.
That's not really a penalty. 1 round with 1 card less doesn't hurt really.
Yeah.
And being able to remove, to get back all of the creatures that maybe your opponent thought he had wiped from your board in the previous turn is really good.
We have to also keep in mind, this is not just recursion. This is also like drawing a lot of cards, potentially. Like if you have a lot of creatures of a certain house in the discard pile, all of them get on a hand. So you're prepping up a real big...
And especially since you don't have a maximum hand size in KeyForge, this can be a really good card.
I don't know how many disc creatures we're going to see here, but if you have a lot of disc creatures, you can like sacrifice them by doing some crazy attacks and then Arise, get them back, and then get them out again. Yeah, so that's nice. So really nice. Okay, so here, speaking of which, here's the first creature.
Toxin.
Basic creature.
Basic creature. Discard a random card from your hand. Is a built-in mind barb, basically.
When he reaps.
When he reaps, yeah.
3 strength is not the biggest, but also not the smallest.
It's nice.
It's an average.
It's a good effect.
Ooh.
The Terror, we've seen this also many times during the preview event. If your opponent has no Amber, gain 2, so that is early game, immediately after forging.
A really good first turn card.
Really good first turn card, and 5 power is also... quite beefy. So I mean, it's all around good card.
Yeah, even if the play ability doesn't trigger, you won't be sad to have a 5 strength creature.
You will play him no doubt.
Yeah.
Schooler, if your opponent has 4 Ember or more, steal 1 it's also pretty nice because it brings 6 Ember down to 5, and as we've seen, 5 is a bad number of Ember to have. It's the worst number, in fact. And it's also 5 strength, so like the Terror, it is something that you like to have on your board.
I feel like the areas of strength is like 3, less than 3 is like, Shadows kind of strength feature. Yeah. Then you have like 3, which is kind of like a very regular standard size. 5 is a big creature.
Yeah.
And then everything above 5 is like...
is really, really powerful, Brobner territory.
Yeah.
The Dust Imp, when it's destroyed, gain 2. We had this in the previous deck as well.
Yeah.
A bit of a deterrent for your opponent to not destroy this because this will help you.
They're so great because you're always sad because whenever you play a strong creature, the opponent always wants to kill it. And then you never get to play with your toys. But with this guy, you always...
Yeah, and yet, on the other hand, I will just attack and let this guy be destroyed on my turn. So and gain 2 Ember for it.
Super nice. I love it.
Stealer of Souls. After an enemy creature is destroyed, fighting Stealer of Souls, purge that creature and gain 1 Ember. And with 6 power, this needs to be fought because he will destroy otherwise your creatures.
Oh wow! Yes, he purge. Purge. We have to maybe explain. It's removed from the game forever, right?
Purge is removed from the game forever.
Okay, so if there's like this idea, maybe like for example, some people played Dust Fairies, Dust Pixies.
Dust Pixies.
And
which recur them over and over again, and
or the one bit we heard Dust Imps. It's like okay, oh no, I'm going to recur Dust Imp. Well, not with this guy. It's going to get destroyed and removed from the game, and goodbye.
But it's on the other hand, it's quite easy to play around this because your opponent has to attack the Stealer of Souls.
The enemy creates fighting
because the enemy, the opponent has to fight the Stealer. Yeah, I think the fighting is in terms of who is attacking whom.
Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of confusion about what fighting and attacking and stuff like that means.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yes, if you guys have an idea of how this works, let us know. That's probably a good point. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move over to the logos.
To logos, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we are coming to one of the themes in this deck.
Okay.
It has a couple bolts.
Okay.
So Positron Bolt is gain an Ember, deal 3 damage to a flank creature, deal 2 damage to its neighbor, deal 1 damage to the second creature's other neighbor. So you basically you shoot from the flank and you have some sort of splash damage.
It's like a chain lightning effect.
Chain lightning effect. Where I think the name is quite fitting, Positron Bolt, and it is. I think one of the themes in this deck is you're dealing damage without attacking, and it's
that's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage. It's 6 damage in total, distributed over 3 creatures.
When you have only 2 creatures, how would that work?
I would say deal 3 to 1 creature, deal 2 to another to the neighbor, and the 1 damage fizzles.
Okay, yeah, the less would fizzle. That's right. And you get an Ember for this.
You get an Ember for this, so that's great.
Yep.
And we continue on with the bolts. Twin Bolt Emission, play, deal 2 damage to a creature, deal 2 damage to another creature, and also gain an Ember for this.
Yeah.
So
we saw this in a lot in the preview event. It's a very strong direct damage.
It's a very strong card, and this deck has 2 of them. Yeah. So there's twin bolts.
Quadruple bolts, so to speak.
Bolts, yeah.
Okay.
There's something I quite like about this.
That's really good.
Okay, Phase Shift. You may play 1 non-logos card during this turn. Mm-hmm. So this is a little bit like the Sanctum ability of ready and use a creature and things like that. And it's also a little like the Wild Wormhole in Logos, where you play a Logos effect and then you can do something with another house, which can be quite nice.
Yeah, I like those guys. I like being flexible with the houses because the houses are kind of like the resources, right? They're kind of the thing that restricts your play.
Yeah, it's the most important choice that you make each turn is which house are you going to play. And every card that allows you to go outside of that choice is, I think, really, really powerful.
And especially you often get like crazy combos once you're able to play something out of your house. So that's something that we might watch out for in this deck if there's some kind of like really cool combos. And with Lab Work,
archive a card, gain an Ember for this.
We saw this many times before. It's a very standard card.
Yeah. But it's a good archiving card.
Definitely.
I like it.
We had some archiving already in this, so this is going to be an archiving kind of deck.
This is the second archiving card, yes. True. Spectral Tunneler, choose a creature for the remainder of the turn. That creature is considered a flank creature and gains Reap, draw a card. So, in conjunction with the Positron Bolt, you can now play the Positron Bolt on a creature that is not on a flank. Or not on a flank to begin with. So you can, because you can do the Spectral Tunneler to make a creature into a flank creature.
Right. It was a flank, okay.
And Positron Bolt only is allowed to target creature. So this gets an additional level of flexibility to the Positron Bolt that you didn't have before.
That's just value right there, you know.
Yeah. And you get an Ember for this, so...
On the other hand, I mean, there is also a argument for playing it on your own creatures.
Yes, of course, yeah. Because Reap, draw a card is also a nice effect, but it's dependent. If you have something that you need to get rid of, and you have this and Positron Bolt in your hand, I would probably do this effect on my opponent's creature instead of on my own creatures. But it is a very versatile card, I think.
Yeah, I think it depends on what the board state is and what you want to be achieving, right?
But I think flexibility is key. So
yes, definitely. I agree. Oh, I'm really jealous about this
one. Experimental therapy. That is also a rare. No, it's not a rare. It's
uncommon, I think.
The creature belongs to all houses. Stun and exhaust this creature.
And I think this is really, really well balanced.
So it's an upgrade you put on a creature?
It's an upgrade you put it on a creature, and after you've played this, you can use this creature every turn if you like.
Mm-hmm. I think we had it on one of our first decks as well.
And the penalty for this is you cannot use it this turn because it immediately gets exhausted. And you have to waste, or not waste, but you have to spend another turn to unstun it. I think really balances this card. The effect is, if you could use this effect immediately, it would be overpowered.
Yeah, definitely. But do you have any good targets that you would put on this one? On the creatures?
Yeah, maybe one of the creatures that we will see later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not spoil too much then. This is so good. I love this guy so much.
The Brain Eater.
Oh, so jealous.
6 power, it's really nice. After a creature is destroyed fighting the Brain Eater, draw a card.
I love the artwork. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's like a little alien guy who's like smiling when his brain is getting sucked out. Oh, so good. There's really nothing like this is good.
It's a cyborg.
This is the cyborg that gets all the love. Yes, definitely.
I love him.
And then he like eats all the little creatures, right? That's the idea. Like he will attack all the pixies and all the little Martian guys,
and refills your hand by the by. So
there's nothing wrong with this guy. Nothing wrong with it. It's a little bit of brain eating.
So Dysania, that is a rare in Logos.
It's a creature as well.
A creature for power. Your opponent discards each of their archived cards. You gain 1 ember for each discarded this way. So this card either does nothing because when you sit down against an opponent that does not use archives, and I've seen quite some decks that don't do really much with their archives. This basically does nothing, but it's still a 4 power creature. So you're not simply going to discard this guy.
Yeah.
But if you have someone who is building up their archives and who is waiting to build up to their power turn, where they have 5 Grobnar creatures that they will buff out onto the table, and you can mess with their game plan in this way and earn money along the way, I think this is really great.
This can be like in certain decks it will be just game winning.
Yes,
almost
so.
move. Yeah, it's so good. And otherwise, a 4-strength creature.
4-strength creature?
It's not bad.
Yeah, I'll take that every day.
It's fine.
The Ganymede Archivist, we've seen this. This is a common card.
Yep.
We've seen this when you reap archive a card. So there's the third card now that we've seen in this deck that builds up their own archives.
But otherwise, they're kind of like a very vanilla.
It's a vanilla Logos creature, and
I think this is also kind of like a common creature, but I like him a lot.
Common, Quixo the Adventurer, and quotes. He's Skirmish, which is a useful ability, and when he fights, draw a card. This is a Logos theme that Logos basically does card draw outside of your drawing phase, which is very, very useful, obviously.
Yeah. And the Skirmish makes this card really strong. Because you can be really aggressive with this guy, you can start dealing a lot of damage, and you draw cards by the bite, so it's so nice.
And what I think what we see in the artwork is that one of the main developers of the game has already immortalized himself on this card.
It might be the guy...
I think this is Brad Andrews.
Yeah, it might be also the guy who's also hanging out in Discord.
He's also... And this is his Discord name also.
So nice.
Yeah.
So nice.
And I mean, we've seen this in Netrunner also.
Yeah.
The developers have almost all of them have immortalized themselves.
I would definitely do that myself if I designed a kind of game like this.
So the Vespilian Theorist.
Another rare.
This is another rare. He's elusive. That's nice, especially for a low power creature. When you reap with him, choose a house. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it is of that house, archive it and gain 1 ember. Otherwise, discard it. So this can either be a gamble, or this can be something where you know what's on the top of your deck because, for example, a Dexter has been destroyed. But there is no Dexters in this deck. But so in this it will always be a gamble. But it's a nice one,
and it can give you one embers.
Yeah, right. And when you have a 1 in 3 chance basically that the reaping gives you a second ember.
Yeah. And then the archiving, if it gets you the Ember,
and
the card gets archived.
Also archiving, yeah.
So you can get it back later on. So it's kind of like card draw.
The card isn't gone.
Yeah.
It's not discarded. So you can get at it whenever you
And you had Arise, right? So if you discard some cards from the creatures, you can get them back.
The discard is also not too bad.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so Martians. So this is an upgrade I really like.
The Red Planet Ray Gun. I love the name. It gets an Ember for installing it, which is also great. And when you install it on a creature, the creature gains Reap. Choose a creature, deal 1 damage to that creature for each Mars creature in play. So that is basically the theme of Mars.
Yeah.
What I've seen from the beginning is that you try to have as many Mars guys on the table as well. Put Red Planet Ray Gun on one of them, and then Reap, because then you can do like 4 or 5 or even more damage.
Yeah. So something that I noticed is that a lot of people are very down on Mars. They don't like Mars because they open up Mars decks that don't have a lot of Mars creatures.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the Mars abilities depend on having a lot of Mars creatures.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
a Mars deck with only 4 creatures is...
Yeah,
it's
tough.
You're probably going to have a hard time playing with this.
So really, like the strength of a Mars deck is really dependent on how many creatures you have. So let's see how many creatures you have, Girion.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, but meanwhile, there's another gun.
There's another gun.
Yeah.
Action: reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand. Deal damage to a creature equal to the number of Mars cards revealed this way. So what you want to try to do with this is you want to build up as much as you can Mars cards in your hand and play this and use its action on the following turn to deal a lot of damage. And this is also fitting to the Twin Bolt and Positron Bolt theme in this deck. Again, you deal damage without fighting.
Something I noticed, it's an artifact that's very important because there's another Mars card that's an orbital bombardment that does the same thing, but it's an action. This one stays around.
Yeah, you have to play this, and then you have to wait for your hand to fill up again.
Yeah. But otherwise, really nice card. I love also the artwork. Like there's cacti on Mars, I guess. I love it.
Haven't they already landed in the Nevada desert?
Oh, maybe, yeah. And so maybe it's in the Nevada desert. It's fun. It's Mother Gun is also a good name. I love it. You have Invasion Portal.
It's Invasion Portal. Invasion Portal. Discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a Mars creature or run out of cards. If you discard a Mars creature this way, put it in your hand. So if you want to have a card, or specifically if you want to have a Mars creature on your hand, just grab one.
Yeah.
You draw cards until you get a creature.
Yeah. Otherwise, you accelerate.
And accelerate drawing through your deck, and which is also something that you might want to do.
Also, again, it's an artifact.
It's an artifact. You can do it
every turn.
Every turn if you like. It's nice.
Yeah, it's really great, especially since we've seen a lot of already 2 cards that benefit from having a Mars creature on your hand.
Yeah.
So this gives you the Mars creature that you need.
Squawker gains you an Ember. When you play this, ready a Mars creature or stun a non-Mars creature.
This is such a good card.
Both effects can be really, really powerful. I love the flexibility in this card because it can mess with your opponent's plans, or it can make double use of a Mars creature that you've already used in this turn.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful card. I would love to see multiple cards of this one in every Mars deck. It makes everything so flexible. Now we got to the creatures. Nice.
Jammer. Opponent keys cost +1. Fight or reap, capture 1. This is a really nice creature. And 1 armor is also really nice. And what I think we see on the artwork is this creature being
grabbed by a UFO. I love the flavor text. Mine. Oh yeah, I love these guys because again, it's one of the creatures. Shadows is really good at this, but Mars apparently now out too, where it's a creature that you have to deal with somehow. The +1 key cost, maybe it's not horrible, but it's kind of really annoying.
Yeah,
and then fighting or reaping captures an Ember is also strong. You have to get rid of this guy.
This is again one of the things that the opponent will have to deal with rather sooner than later. And 4 and 1 armor is.
Yeah, it's beefy. It's beefy.
Nice.
You have to invest some time to get rid of this guy. Speaking of beefy dudes.
Speaking of beefy, 7 power, Zorg.
Zorg enters the play stunned, which I think is also pretty good balancing, because otherwise he would be overpowered. Before fight, stun the creature Zorg fights and each of that creature's neighbors. So built-in tremor, because he comes trampling onto the battlefield, I guess. But you can only do this the turn after the turn that you played him, which I think is good.
Yeah,
but
it's very slow, but it's
yeah.
a super beefy dude that does huge damage once he emerges into play. And you have the something like the Squawker, which allows you maybe to be faster. You can like activate him in the room to stun him.
You can accelerate this a little bit, yes.
Yeah. Also, you could play Zorg and then play immediately the one that taps him and stuns him, the upgrade for the logos on top of it.
Yeah, because he cannot be stunned twice, yeah.
Yeah, so you can get more value out of him being stunned, so to speak.
That's true.
Oh, this is my favorite Mars creature. Oh, this is so good. That's a good Mars deck, I would say.
Mega Mouth. Fight or reap, use a friendly non-Mars creature, which is, it's a nice effect.
Yeah.
Like from the Logos thing, play another card. So we have this a little bit similar effect from Mars, do something with a card from another house.
Yeah, we noticed that Mars is kind of like this very egoistic kind of house where
usually they are. Yeah,
they want to be always be Mars. Everything has to be Mars, and so if you pick them quite often, you want to have an opportunity to use all your other creatures as well.
And that is one of the ways that allows you to do this.
3 strength is also kind of like a regular strength. That's nice. Okay, how do you pronounce this guy?
Ixilo Bolter.
Yep.
I don't know.
Sounds good to me. You're the Mars guy.
I'm the Mars. Fight or reap. Deal 2 damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, purge it. Which is, again, we had this purge theme already in this deck. And fighting and reaping for damage dealing. The fight effect only happens when you fight and survive the fight. But so this would mean you basically deal.
I learned the hard way so many times. Yeah,
but you deal 5 damage.
Yeah,
in this turn if you survive.
Yeah,
and that is nice.
And even purging it additional, there's so much upside to this guy. Very strong fighter. It requires some skill and use, but if you can keep him alive, he's gonna be doing a lot of good stuff.
Zizix the Many, and fight and reap. You may reveal a creature from your hand. If you do, archive it, and Zizix the Many gains +1 power counters. 3 +1 power counters. So there's another Zizix the Many in this, and this is probably an artifact of the algorithm that takes care of having only one Zizix the Many. Wouldn't make really much sense, I would say. And if I haven't miscounted, we are now on the 6 Mars creatures. So this is a really creature-heavy Mars deck.
That's good. That's what you want to see.
This is really something I like.
Yeah. I feel like the Mars creatures are different enough from each other, so you can also the names are really special. So Zizix the Many, and then this guy is a Bolter, so he has some kind of gun, and Loudmouth has a megaphone. So they actually have different actions. So they did a good job with the Mars creatures. And so this guy gets stronger. So he has again like a built-in ability of being boosted by other Mars cards, right?
Exactly.
So that seems also really good. Again, the fight is after the fighting, so you have to survive the fight if he wants to boost him. Again, something I also got wrong, but you get them out, you reap first, and then you get the upgrade.
Reap to get the power counters, and then you use them to fight.
Yeah, you do a lot of damage without the fighting, right?
John Smith in quotes.
Also a Smith with Y.
It's just great.
Oh, the flavor.
Elusive, again, really, really useful for low strength creatures. Fight and reap. Ready a non-agent Mars creature.
There is not a many.
There are no agent.
Okay.
So all of the, John Smith obviously himself is an agent, but all of the other creatures we've seen so far aren't agents. So he can use any of the other Mars creatures can be raided by him.
So I can imagine they put the non-agent part in here, so in case you have 2 John Smiths.
If you have 2 John Smiths.
To avoid the endless combo.
Yeah, it avoids the endless loop.
It would be just a 6 times combo because of the rules, but it's still
six,
awkward.
Exactly, yeah.
I like him a lot, yeah. Yeah, he's probably going to get killed immediately. Okay.
And
the last one?
Exili Marauder gets +1 power for each ember on it, and when you play him, capture one ember for each friendly ready mass creature.
The ready one, it stinks.
Yeah. So you want to delay playing him. You don't play him in the turn where you buff off all of your other mass creatures, but you play him on the turn after, or a couple of turns after.
Or maybe you have this Squawker, you can ready Mars creature and play him and attack with a ready Mars creature. So there's ways of doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ready can also maybe don't overdo maybe the capturing. Like don't try to make a mega combo out just to get like some capture going on this guy. He's good with just
this
one
is also something that you might want to hold back because you want to steal quite a lot of ember from your opponent when he's about to forge. So you have to hold this in your hand until the right moment to grab as many ember as you can.
Yeah, I think the
just
question...
for the delay effect.
Yeah, if you're playing this, you have to ask yourself, how much ember do you want to really steal with this? Do you want to steal 1 ember? Am I fine stealing no ember with this guy? Or do I really want to have like a huge, like 3-5 ember?
Yeah, I will guess you will play him to keep the opponent from forging.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just keep him on the back. All right, so this was your deck. I'm loving this deck. This looks like a really cool deck. It has a very memorable name and some really good synergies.
Yeah, especially since it's also for me it's the first mass deck that I've seen that has really a high number of creatures, which are 8 creatures in this deck, and it has a red planet ray gun, which I think is a good combination. John Smith plus the fact that none of the other Martians are agents is really good. We have, like we said, we have the twin bolts and the positron bolt. We have a couple of those immediate destroy effects and other damage that comes not from fighting. All in all, we have 18 creatures in this deck, 1 upgrade, 6 artifacts, 11 actions, and 10 raw amber, which I think makes for a pretty nice combination.
Yeah, I think the fact that it has so many Mars creatures really stands out, but you have also a lot of direct damage. Do you have, something that we noticed, that wasn't a problem in the last deck, but in this one, what are your abilities to steal ember when the opponent is about to score? What is...
I don't believe there's any stealing effects. There's a couple of capturing effects, but there's not too many...
Yeah, those are what I mean. Like, how do you can prevent scoring out? By capturing, right?
Yeah, I think you will try to use your creatures to get the opponent to prevent the opponent from reaping. It's probably the main tactic.
It seems like you can easily maintain a really good board state with just that many Mars creatures and this much direct damage.
And
right?
the bolts, the twin bolts and the positron bolts allow you to deal damage without fighting, so you can maybe destroy your opponent's creatures and then read for yourself. That's probably the way to go.
Something that I really enjoy here when I look at this, I really like that there's experimental therapy and there's also the Mega Mouth. So that allows you to select Mars and then maybe activate other creatures as well.
And even the other way around, when you choose logos, then you have this play one or use one non-logos card this turn.
That's true. That's as well. Yeah.
Do this both ways around.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of pretty flexible cards in this deck, and I'm eager to play this.
I can't wait to see how this plays out.
I haven't played with it yet.
Okay, so this is the thing that we're going to now announce. So we're going to give away 2 of our decks. We have 4 decks. This is now the 6th unboxing video that we did, but the first 2 decks that we had were borrowed. So we have 4 decks, and here are all our 4 decks. So this is Z that loves Cyborgs that you just saw. One of our first decks was here, the Countess of Windhedge. And we have here the Peck-Headed Prisoner of Flakmark. And in the previous video, we had Palakar, the Adjutant of All. So these are the 2 new decks. These are the 2 decks that we had before. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little tournament. We're going to play all of those 4 decks against each other. Countess against Peck-Headed, Palakar against Z, and then the winner of those will play against each other. And your guys' task is now to guess who wins, who is going to be the winner of this mini tournament. And whoever writes a hashtag underneath this video predicting who the winner was. We're going to pick a random person from the people who guessed correctly to receive 2 of those decks. Probably not going to be the Z. I don't think I have the strength to separate
I'm also not
from
really
this
sure
deck.
if this can win. But
So,
let's see what happens.
Yeah, so we're gonna pick 2 decks for you guys. We're gonna also put in maybe some extra swag. We received some swag from Asmodee. They were very generous.
Asmodee was very generous to us. Yeah,
we have like lanyards as well. We're gonna throw in these guys as well. So you have like all of there's like KeyForge lanyards with all of the different houses on them as well. So we're gonna maybe add in those as well. So now your task is now to figure out which of those 4 decks will win our mini tournament. Is it gonna be Countess of Windhedge? If so, then write hashtag Team Countess. That was our Brobnar party kind of deck. Team Countess. Hashtag Team Countess. If you think it's going to be the Pack-Headed Prisoner of Luckmark, then write hashtag Team Packhead. And this is going to be the Stabby Fairies kind of deck, where we have like Untamed and Fairies, and they could be equipped with daggers and stuff like that. If you think the Palokar, the adjutant of all, the deck without artifacts or upgrades that we just saw.
Just creatures
and events. So then say hashtag Team Palokar for this guy. And then if you like Cyborgs as much as Z and Gerion love Cyborgs, then say hashtag Team Cyborgs for this deck that we just saw. So pick your winner, your prediction, and now in this video, and we're gonna, I think in 2 days or so, we're gonna show you our tournament video.
The first video of the tournament.
And then at the end of the video, we're gonna pick the winner of who will receive 2 KeyForge decks. You need 2 KeyForge decks because you can't play with just 1 deck.
Yes.
So we thought we're gonna send out 2 decks. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next video where we're going to play those beautiful decks.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget our Patreon.
That's true, don't forget those. Bye bye guys!
Bye bye!